Hello and welcome to another very calm discussion about one of my favorite fantasy series. I am very, very intrigued to start on this. Please welcome my good friend Whisp.
At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought.
And while I love this clip, this topic will make me emotional. Hello.
Hello. Hello, Hypatia. Always a pleasure. Well, this is going to be interesting. So, Whisp, please tell the chat about yourself. There might be some people who have not seen you on Smudcast.
Yeah, oh god. Do I have to say positive things about myself?
I can do that.
Yeah,
I can do that, I guess.
Okay.
So, this is my friend Whisp. I actually met him on Smudcast. He's been in the Wheel of Time for quite a while. It means quite a bit to him, as it does to me. And I'm very, very excited to chat with him because he's a very analytical and very intelligent critical thinker that I'm very happy to have on this particular discussion. And I'm interested to hear a lot of his thoughts, and I'm mostly here to see his reaction because I think it will be hilarious.
I have to add to that, to my own disgrace, I have still not yet finished the series, although I started reading in the 90s. And that is due to several reasons. I can start off by telling you how the Wheel of Time works in Germany, or did. The first translation was by Karin König, and it was a horrible translation, which seemed to have added paragraphs that just weren't there. Very strange writing style as well. And when you just only know your own language as a kid, of course, you think that's the thing. It didn't destroy the whole story, though. It was just weird when later on I read the original version and I was 100% sure there were things missing. But I probably will not go to the lengths of cross-checking the two because I just don't want to read that horrible German writing style of that translator. There is a new translation in German. I do not know the quality, though. And on top of that, the German version was done by the Heine Verlag, the publisher, Heine publisher, and they have this obnoxious scheme of cutting books up into parts. Like so some books come in the German version as 2 books or 3 books, which is a bit confusing because so they do their translations in parts, and the German books cost as much as the English originals. So it's like you pay triple the price. And the weird thing is when, due to this, in the German version, in the first German version definitely, you read through the books, and as you know, every Wheel of Time book starts with this mystical introduction. The Wheel of Time turns, and so on, every time. And it starts with the wind. And so you read 2 books, and then this introduction comes. You read 3 books, and then this introduction comes. It's very confusing. So I figured this over time as a kid in the German version, and later in the English, where you have just one book, next book, next book, next book, it makes much more sense. It's much more obvious, let's say. And there was simply a time when I just couldn't buy more of them. I think a Path of Daggers just came out, and so lots of private life stuff happened. A couple of years later, I had my own place. And that's when I thought, hey, there must be more Wheel of Time books out. So let's start buying it in English. And I started reading it in English. Got to a certain point. And ran out of books. As it happens, still wasn't finished. And yeah, then, as we all know, Robert Jordan died, which was a very sad time because the series wasn't finished. When I heard someone's gonna finish it, ambivalence, as everyone should have. I heard it's okay, but I still haven't gotten to that part because it's after I finally got the books, I tried to get Towers of Midnight as well as a hardcover. So I have the last 3 books as hardcovers, but Towers of Midnight in English, well, I was unable to get it for I think 2.5 years. So I had the last book, but I didn't have Towers of Midnight. Twilight, Midnight. It's the books are all in the other room. Well, once I've read it, I'll remember the title. I'm very sorry. It must be embarrassing.
The order is Path of Daggers, Winter's Heart, Crossroads of Twilight, The Gathering Storm, Towers of Midnight, and then finally Memory of Light.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the second to last book I was unable to get for years, which discouraged me in rereading the whole thing. Because when I've not read the thing for a long time, I need to start over from the beginning. And then there's always, I think it's Fires of Heaven, the thickest book. That's
so you have to deal with Sundere Aviende.
Well, the thing is, it's okay the first time you read it. But when you have to reread it, it gets dreary. And when you have to reread it for the third time, you just hope it's over at some point, but it's the fucking biggest book. And yeah, I did get through that. However, then it was just before I got very serious health issues. I managed a chapter a day. It was very fun. I was enjoying it, getting back into the series. And I got until Path of Daggers again. And my health is just so bad, and I have to focus on certain things that take up all my energy, that I have trouble enjoying stuff. And honestly, I do not want to waste a series I enjoy very much on a state of mind where I can't really get into it and where my mind is constantly drawn to some other bullshit I have to solve first. It's also why I haven't gotten through my Terry Pratchett library yet. And I'm on the hunt for every book that has ever been released in hardcover for that. And there's a lot I haven't read yet. And the thing is, while Terry Pratchett can cheer you up in really bad times, there is a certain threshold beyond which it is, even that is just wasted, and that doesn't stick. And I know both these states of being where it can cheer you up and where it just doesn't work at all. And when you read something the first time, when you play a game for the first time, or watch a movie for the first time that's really good, and you are in a state of mind that you simply cannot enjoy it as it deserves, it's wasted. At least that's my experience with these things. And so I just want to get healthy soon as possible, for quite some time now, where I can finally finish the series that I started to read in my childhood. And yeah, so for example, I only sleep about 3 hours a night. When I'm lucky, it gets up to 5 hours, and that is with sleep meds. So just to give you an idea of when you're this depleted, it's difficult to really concentrate on something. And right here, I'm pumped full of caffeine so that I can even have a somewhat sensible discussion. And then I heard that, and as a kid, I always wished that this should be, like, you're in the late 90s, and you wish that this would be made into something great one day. Then the Lord of the Rings movies come out, and you think, this might even be doable if someone this dedicated to the source material would put his mind to it. And the initial thing I got with into Wheel of Time was the PC game. That was atmospherically amazing. I think it used the Unreal Engine, the one they used for Unreal Tournament, and atmospherically amazing. Like, you start off at the gates of Shadar Logoth and have to get through that. And the designers pulled it off to make that without I didn't know anything about Wheel of Time when I first played that game. I played the demo first, and barely any enemies there. The few that are there will scare the shit out of you, especially at that age. Great system. In order to make it work, they invented a character that can barely channel, only enough to use Terangreal. So essentially, you gather Terangreal throughout the game to use as weapons that you would otherwise have in any other game. Kind of fun. Fun story, great atmosphere. Can only recommend it. And for the explanations of the Terangreal you use, it used it always had little snippets, little quotes from the books that fit everything. Like the standard attack, simple standard attack, like what in another first-person shooter would be your pistol. It's just shooting little tiny arrows, and the quote it used was from the time, I think that was in the Wastes, where, I'm sorry, I don't remember which character did it to whom, but essentially prick the butt of the other character with the one power.
That was Elaine to Rand, I believe.
Oh yes, that fits the characters. Yes, somewhat Egwene in my head, but yeah, that fits the character. Yeah, and it had all these little snippets in there. Great game, and it advertised the book series. Otherwise, I wouldn't have known it's an actual book series. And the next Christmas, I got all the books that were released until then. That was cool. Yeah, well, that's how I got into Wheel of Time. So it's quite a dear thing to me.
Mm-hmm.
And then I heard that before that I saw the comic that was done at some point. I didn't like the character design at all, because and I think that's true for most people. When you read a fantasy story or sci-fi story or any story, maybe even a crime thriller or something, you have your own version of what everything looks like in your head, because you're your own. It's your own imagination. You're your own artist in that sense, and it just didn't match up with what I took from the character descriptions. Mm-hmm. But I thought that, yeah, okay, try it. Maybe it's good, but I'm not going to buy it because of it just looks wrong to me. And then I heard Netflix is doing a thing, and I instantly knew this is going to be shit.
It's Amazon, not Netflix, but
same problem. When Amazon took over The Expanse, it just went horrible. And in the first episode, or the second episode of the Amazon season, they started out with a space shooting scene that was just causing epileptic seizures. Like, thanks for the migraine, assholes.
Yeah. So, do you think that it will be as bad or worse than the Red Eagle Entertainment?
Please clear me up about what Red Eagle Entertainment is.
So, have you seen the pilot for the Wheel of Time that came out a long time ago?
No, I don't want to. I know everything in this day and age will be as fucked up as the video game movies of the 80s and 90s, but for other reasons.
Ooh, I kind of now want to show you Winter's Dragon.
Oh, God.
Since the full thing is on YouTube.
Because, I've seen the only people who manage to make things really good are the actual fans who care about these things. When it gets into the hands of anyone else, it turns into some boardroom nonsense or some whatever the people care about that get a hold of a franchise. And when that is ideology, it will be ideology. Whether that's Christian or socialist, they will put in their bullshit. And I'm sorry, that is not the art we're talking about. I want an authentic representation. It's like when I go to the theater and I want to see a Shakespeare play, Maybe I want to see a classic Shakespeare play and not the egotistical, narcissistic modern adaptation of some pseudo-artistic idiot. Where they talk on mobile phones and crap like that. And now I want to see a classical adaptation. Well, not adaptation. I want to see an authentic, classic play of Hamlet or Macbeth. And I don't want any new age nonsense. We've had this so much in German theater with the works of Goethe, where they always do some modern adaptation. You have some guy in the corner playing an electric guitar. And you're like, what the fuck is this? Oh, it appeals to the kids. Yeah, no, the kids don't give a fuck. The kids are dragged there by their teachers. They don't want to be there. They find it boring.
Well, the funny thing is, like,
a few kids that care, that they hate it. At least I was one of those. Sorry, yeah, go on.
I don't know, at least, like, I think with Wheel of Time, the show, like, I don't think kids are going to watch the show. It's definitely going to be TVMA, because I know there's nudity in it. And it just, like, a lot of the actresses have kind of been like, so at least, like...
Is it going to be one of those adaptations where the first episode has to have 2 or 3 sex scenes to capture the general audience that they want to appeal to?
I don't know, actually.
Americans do this all the time. And this is a good point about Amazon, because The Expanse came out without needless, explicit sex scenes for the most part. And the moment Amazon takes over, bam, big sex scene in your face. And
10 Things I Hate About You is actually, I actually like that particular adaptation of William Shakespeare. Maybe it's just me.
That depends. It can be good. There can be good adaptations with a twist, yes. But we live in a time, and we've done that for probably 100 years now, where everyone makes do his spin on something before we even do the authentic thing. So before you do your weird spin on Wheel of Time or Lord of the Rings, can we have the authentic version first, please? That's what I would. Then if we got that, the well done authentic version, even if you find that totally boring, or if you find that offensive, I don't care. I want that thing first, and after that, do what you want. But please give me the authentic version first. And
thankfully, we got that with Lord of the Rings. Thankfully, we got that with Lord of the Rings.
Yes, I'm very thankful. I don't think that could be made now. I don't think an authentic adaptation of Lord of the Rings could not be made now. It would be full of other stuff, and I think The Hobbit has shown that.
Well, at least like The Hobbit wasn't really like politically driven.
Then I implore you to rewatch it and take a very good look at the population of that swamp village.
You mean you mean Lake Town?
Yes, it is a surprisingly diverse population for a medieval swamp village in buttfuck nowhere, where, I'm sorry, people didn't travel that much in those times. Maybe on a pilgrimage. But that doesn't seem to be the world where that happens too much. Because these people don't understand how all of this all of this stuff works, and that's part of the point of Wheel of Time. Like, you start in the story starts in a very, very isolated place where if you go back a few generations, everybody's related to everyone.
I did have a question for you about that. So one of the things that at least like Peter Jackson and Philippa Boyens and I think Fran Walsh talked about, like, in relation to kind of like Lake Town, they were thinking that it wasn't really like for any political reasons. They were just thinking that because Dale used to be a center of trade, that Esgaroth, which used to be a lot better, like, had some people come up there for trade reasons, and then they got stuck there after it kind of everything went bankrupt. Do you think that's a good explanation, or do you think that that's kind of just very, very weak explanation for?
I think that's a post hoc justification for a political decision.
Okay. Because I didn't really think about, like, I don't know if it, like, I think it's...
You can give these explanations, but then if you do it that way, then please weave it into the story.
Yeah, I just think that, like, it's just, like, it's cosmetic only. There's no like real attention brought to it, so I didn't
because they just look like normal people who live there. And if you the thing you bring up, that is something that can work, but then as these as the Hobbit movies are blown up with external stuff from the core Hobbit story anyway, then do that little side arc, and that can just be 2 or 3 little scenes that take up maybe 2 or 3 minutes or even less, where you just have the traders come in, you see their traders, they come from afar, and then because of crap they get stuck. Yep, okay, do it, fine, no problem. But when you do it the way it was done in the movie, it just looks like, oh, we have diverse people who moved into the swamp village, the most inhospitable place you can imagine. Because, I'm sorry, 1 generation, 2 generations, 3 generations later, you see none of their racial traces anymore. Completely gone.
Okay.
And that is the thing about medieval villages and towns. So I live in Germany, Europe, and even here, still to this day, especially in South Germany, you can go from village to village to village, and you can see that the people who live there are, and this sounds worse than I mean it. They're all more inbred within the village than they are related to the next village. Because every village has a certain look about them. That's just a thing. It doesn't mean it's incest, but well, some villages are more like that than others. But it's that extreme. I've been in South Germany for a while, and we've had in the school I was there, you had people from all over the place. And when we visited someone in his village for a birthday party or something, you saw the other people in the village. It's not just that the family looks like, the whole village looked like that guy. And
I see.
This is just the thing. Couple generations down, people just mix up, and it is only in in a metropolis with international travel that these differences stay for a long time, because the people tend to end up in their own quarters with people from similar cultures. It's a natural process. People drift to that naturally. It's like when they decided to make that I think it was Spanish queen or something, to cast a black woman for her, because I don't know, a dozen generations ago, one of her ancestors was an Arab, which is not an African, by the way. So, but at 12 generations down, there's not much of a trace of those genetics left. I'm sorry. That's just ham-fisted political race fetishism. That's what I see when they do this. It's not just tokenism, it's race fetishism. It's as if we would go around and as you've the famous accusation, as if we would just cast some Chris Hemsworth for Black Panther. Like, everybody would be up in arms against that, because how dare you? It's just as nonsensical. I'm sorry. And I see this show. I think the BBC made it with the Greek gods, and all the Greek gods were Africans all of a sudden. Achilles black, Zeus black. Why? What's your justification for that?
I believe it was Netflix who did it with their Troy series, and they also did it at least with Margaret Evangelou in the BBC adaptation of the Hollow Crown series.
Yeah, I'm sorry. If you want to do stuff with African people, then do mythology and history about Africa. And
Yeah,
honestly, there is interesting stuff there. There are interesting there's interesting mythology there.
Yeah, do something about Sundiata. As far as I am aware, the
Do
closest
the
thing,
Anansi story.
Yeah, the Anansi story. Yeah, the closest thing I am aware of to the Sundiata story is the Lion King, and even that is very much a Frankenstein's monster of Henry IV Part 1 and 2 and Hamlet.
Yeah.
As opposed to being a direct adaptation of Hamlet, like a lot of people claim it is, but it's not, folks.
Oh no. What was his name? Oh God, I'm forgetting everything lately. Tetzka. He said he was inspired by Hamlet. That doesn't mean he was just copying it or adapting it. He used it as inspiration for his White Lion story.
Mm-hmm.
And when you use something as inspiration, that means that you are actually doing something a little bit different with it. You have a core that is similar, but the whole story around it, you do different things with. And if they want to do something inspired by Wheel of Time, for example, that's another thing. That's then not Wheel of Time. That's something else.
Yeah, there's kind of an element of once you put the label on it, you are putting certain expectations on yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I always think of the Super Mario Brothers movie from the 80s.
So what do you think of the notion that a lot of the Wheel of Time crowd is very, very much in the woke camp, and that they would like trans representation in the Wheel of Time?
Nothing of what you just said makes any sense.
Yeah.
So why would Wheel of Time fans be woke? Like, that makes no sense to me, because the story is essentially anti-woke in every aspect of it. Like, sorry if I take something away from people here, but one of the Wheel of Time does address sexism in a very funny way, and that is that both sexes, the men and the women, by the way, there are two as we here,
don't understand each other.
yeah, but they both want the exact same things. They have the same goals, and they refuse to talk to each other about their plans because they each think the others are idiots, and thereby sabotage each other by stepping on each other's toes, and then being annoyed with each other about that, instead of working together. And it's always the case. You get a chapter from a female character's perspective, and she complains about the men just being idiots, and if they would just listen to reason and do this, then we could have the goal. And you switch to a main male character, and you get the exact same line of thought, and I just don't understand the women. They just do random shit that makes no fucking sense. And if they would just listen to reason, we could get to the fucking goal. And it's all the time. All the fucking, that's a key recurring theme of Wheel of Time, that men and women are both idiots that fail to talk to each other. It's not that the men are stupid. I can imagine that woke people think, oh, the women are so smart, the men are just stupid. Like, no, it's both are idiots. Mm-hmm. Both fail to communicate. That's the thing. They fail to communicate. Both sexes fail to communicate with each other. And another version of that you have, which is a failure to communicate, but that is partly because the characters are often very far apart from each other, is the whole joke about Rand, Matt, and Perrin,
where they
both thinking everyone else understands women, because they see the surface of, well, Rand is dealing with 3 women at the same time, and they all like him. I need to ask him how the fuck that works, because he seems to have figured it out. Rand thinks Matt is a womanizer because he has girls all the time. So maybe he knows can tell them how to deal with the crazy girls that are around him all the time. And Perrin has to deal with File, who is quite the bossy, dominant girl that at the same time wants to be dominated, which is completely confusing to him because it's completely different culture. In her culture, that's a normal thing, and it's part of the social game and the love game, and it's all one thing in a way, and it's also the war game at the same time. And he's just this guy from this village, and is like, what the fuck does she want? I need to ask Grant because he's dealing with 3 girls, and it seems to work out. And Matt has girls all the time. He seems to understand women, and the other two think, well, Perrin is married. So apparently he must know what the deal is with women. So I need to ask him when I see him next time. And they never managed to meet up and fucking talk about it. As far as I'm in the story, maybe that happens still. I don't know. Don't spoil it, please. No spoilers, please. And maybe they sit down and say like, "Well, I have no idea. What you don't have an idea either? No, I thought you had figured it out. No, they're all crazy."
Yeah,
and that's a wonderful little subtle joke because it's never said directly. You have to pick it up as you go through the chapters and through the books. That everyone has the same problems. They're just not talking with each other. The men and the women, the 3 guys, more or less the girls too in some instances. And it's all basically Wheel of Time is a story of communication failure. You can reduce it to that it's to some degree. And that's why I don't understand why would the woke people suddenly like Wheel of Time. They certainly weren't there in the 90s. And trans? What the fuck is that supposed to do there? What the hell? Okay, to clear this up before we get deeper into that. And I know I don't sound like that because I never got into therapy. I have actual gender dysphoria since I was a kid. And it's a hellish condition. And you do not get bullied because you have gender dysphoria. No. It's rather the gender dysphoria is a constant psychological pain that wears you down, essentially makes you have a constant depression without a break. And that makes you, because you're psychologically weakened and exhausted all the time, bullies pick up on the weakened kids, on the easy targets. So you get bullied, but you don't get bullied because you have gender dysphoria, because nobody knows you have that. And so I'm more or less in the middle of my transition, and I got stuck there 4 years ago, almost 4 years ago now, because of woke people. It's woke people that ruined my life, if you will, and now I can't even finish the fucking transition. Can't take any therapy of that because I have to deal with the other health crap first. So thank you for that. So yeah, I am quite pissed about woke people, and they only talk shit about trans. It's like they wrote a fan fiction about a medical condition, and now the fan fiction is pushed into politics as the ultimate truth when there is absolutely no scientific basis for it. And when they then try to push trans into any series, movie, comic, game, you name it, what I push into that is not a real representation of the issue, but their fetishization of it. And that's the bullshit they then tell the children and teach it at school. In school, when you want to see good trans stories, there's good stuff in the Japanese area. There are some good manga, even some good anime, but I've not looked into that for 10 years. But they figured it out. While there are also fetish stories, even the fetish stories of the Japanese are better evaluations, better explorations of the topic, even when they're not getting at the actual topic or some a bit of loss for words here. There's still better explorations of the topic than anything the woke crowd does, because what the woke crowd does is that has nothing to do with what we're going through and what we're feeling and what we need. We don't need magic pronouns. It's bullshit. And you cannot harm me by misgendering me or some bullshit like that. And because I have this voice still, because I could never work on it, I can't blame anyone on the internet for calling me with male stuff. If I put on the camera and wouldn't look like I just crawled out of a grave, put on some makeup, and wouldn't say a word, you would think me a woman. I've had that happen with people, and that was years ago. But now I'm just, my health is just so shit. I'm sorry. Point is just, what you heard when you misgender these people is that you heard their narcissistic Münchhausen syndrome lie that they make about themselves to get attention. They know it's a lie, and that's why they're personally hurt when you attack the lie and when you question the lie. Me, you cannot hurt with that, because it's not about something outside I prop up. You cannot hurt my being, my core, myself. You cannot get to that. You can call me whatever you want. I know what I am.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the big difference. Essentially everybody who makes a fuss because of pronouns is a fake and needs therapy, but not for being trans, but more likely for narcissistic personality disorder. I am so done with these people. And they, of course, get all the attention and they get all the voice, because those are the people who always are the loudest because they need attention. People with actual gender dysphoria, most of the time, are rather quiet people who do not want anyone to know that they are this strange thing, because that's the point. You do not want to be noticed as being weird. You want to be if you are noticed by anyone, you want them to notice you as the other sex, and that's it. And there are a lot of cases where transitioned and passing trans people had discussions, sometimes even heated, with woke people, and the woke people then called them, well, how could you understand? You are just some hetero cis person. You wouldn't know what it's like to be trans. And many of those would never tell the woke person that I actually am trans, because that would break the whole passing thing. Like it's being called, you wouldn't understand trans because you're cis, by a woke person, we tend to take as compliments, because that means we even fool these idiots. But essentially that also means we cannot really, most of us don't speak out against them, because that would require us to sacrifice this.
We're getting a little bit off topic.
I'm sorry. It's fine.
No,
yeah, but it's just
okay.
Wheel of Time. What trans shit should there be in Wheel of Time? Just went off the deep end here, because this is a very personal topic, you know.
Yeah. So I would actually kind of say no. Emotionally weak people are not narcissistic. Hypatia.
No, narcissists are emotionally immature. That's a different thing. Yeah. Someone with very severe psychologically induced PTSD, for example, can be emotionally weakened. That's something else, and that's when you're very prone to something, because that's well. And the interesting thing about that is that especially narcissistic people do tend to psychologically abuse others, which can, depending on the psychological abuse, can cause psychological trauma, which emotionally weakens the other person. That's more the dynamic. So I'm sorry if I a bit confusing there. These are all very big topics that are very hard, if not impossible, to wrap up in just a few words.
Yeah, and that's kind of just like part of the thing. Like, part of me that is slightly concerned about the Wheel of Time show is the fact that Amazon's track record has not been good, or at least it's not very consistent. Since you have, for example, you had Good Omens is a really good one-season show. Like, there's nothing wrong with Good Omens. Good Omens is really good. Then you had The Boys, which The Boys season 1 was fine. It was perfectly fine. And then you had The Boys season 2, which was really, really, really bad.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't seen Man in the High Castle, but I've heard that it kind of drops off in quality. Oh my gosh. He does like his dress descriptions.
He also likes his horse descriptions.
Yeah, lots of horse descriptions in this series.
Yeah, but I think he grew up on a ranch, so that's just the thing he knows a lot about. So it ends up there, and sometimes I'm like, oh, another paragraph about the horses, and I have no bloody clue what he's saying because he names this breed and that breed and that breed. I'm like, okay, words.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm not interested in horses. I'm sorry. It's like if I read another book about whatever, and the author who just went on about different types of cars, and I'm also not into cars. And it's like, okay, he's talking for half a page about this car and that car, and how this car is doing this, and that car looks like that, and okay. Yeah.
So I did have one question. So who would you say are like your favorite characters in the series, and why do you like them?
That's, oh god. As a kid, especially then, I liked Perrin because he was the quiet guy, the quiet thinking guy that everybody thought to be explained a few times in the beginning. Everybody thought a bit dumb, but he just takes more time to think things through. So he's not slow. He's just thoughtful. And I also liked the whole wolf arc he went through. It was more in his journey was more of an internal thing, and I like that part. I liked Min of the girls. I think I like Min the most for a time, because she's a tomboy. You can't play her as anything else but a tomboy. Like the times when she is in the White Tower and dressed in that Elmindreda dress and she hates it.
Yeah, like a lot.
The way it's written, it really feels like she is standing there like a wooden puppet in this elaborate dress. Like, okay. I like that.
Yeah.
Avienda was a back and forth for me. Elaine, I do like more these days after I reread it. And Egwene is difficult. Like I can't even really grasp her. I liked her, but I didn't really know why. And I think I did like Moiran a lot, a damn lot, because she's this mythical character, and then she even sacrifices herself in this epic moment, and it's gone. It's just gone. Out through the portal, takes the Forsaken with the most powerful Forsaken with her. But okay, well, that's something, and that leaves a hole in the story for all the other characters, because she was the wise focal point. If the story didn't know how to progress, Moiran was the one to bring it to figure out where to go next, and that's also where her name comes from, because if you are familiar with the Norse Norn, the Norns, and who
the ones who look at the fate, the spins of fate, almost like the Norse version of the fates in
the Germanic name for the same entity, the same mythological entity of the three women is the Moiren. That's her, and that is her name. And that is probably how it should be pronounced. Yeah, as a kid, I did like Lan because he was also the stoic guy who just stood there, and when trouble came, he just did a thing. So there were a lot of likable characters, like Loyal a lot for being the huge guy, but who's the huge gentle giant, who's a bookworm. Like, yeah, what's not to like? It's especially because I was a bookworm. So yeah, it's a bookworm guy who seeks wisdom, seeks knowledge, and just wants to tag along to see what's going on, in a way. So that's a lot to like, and I always hated 9EF. And I think that's on purpose. She's written to be disliked.
Yeah, there's some interesting things about Nynaeve Almira in a lot of ways. Nynaeve Almira very much represents, like, she's the party pooper adult, but there's also kind of an element of she's very, very biased.
Yeah. Well, she has her reasons for all of that, but yeah, and that's part of her. It's part of her whole arc. She needs to be like that. And I'm sorry if I pronounce some of the names weird. I go by the German pronunciation help that was in the books and in the German books, which may differ a lot from others, because I have never checked how even in English people pronounce these names.
Oh, I think it's totally fine. I just look at like my pronunciation comes from the audiobooks rather than like anything else, because that's how I consume these books, was via audiobooks. So like a lot of my like even like Kate Redding and Michael Kramer, who I love dearly, they like even they like would kind of get some pronunciations wrong sometimes and sort of be like slightly inconsistent. So I honestly like don't have like any like qualms about like anybody else's pronunciations. I just kind of don't care. It's so you ready to look at the trailer compilation? So the funny thing is, they haven't even made a real trailer. They've just come up with a bunch of like short things and
just a bunch of scenes without any connection.
It's like 10 to 15-minute segments that some guy just put together on YouTube.
Okay.
So I believe I'm sharing audio. So let's start. So nothing too bad so far.
That looked, I don't know.
I don't like this, but I think the sword.
No. How's that? No, that doesn't. No, this is no. This is bullshit. How is he? Okay, how is Rand supposed to engrave the heron into his palm by heating up the sword?
Yeah.
How's that supposed to work with a boring ass katana? Like, did you read the book?
Yeah.
Who likes this stuff? This is already wrong. There's one prop. You had one job. You had one fucking job, and you already mess it up.
Oh, just wait.
What the hell?
Yeah, there's more to come. Aren't you excited?
No, I want to play the Wheel of Time PC game from the early 2000s or late 90s. I don't remember exactly. And so I may have even gotten the time wrong when I started reading. But anyway, what the fuck? If you want an authentic Wheel of Time experience, play that old game.
Yeah. So that's a very good question, Tyler Preston. Basically, the katana esque sword. Basically, Robert Jordan had a giant collection of swords in his basement, and whenever he wanted a sword for his series, he would pull that out. He also wanted to use kind of an Asian theme to some of his writing.
For Wheel of Time, you can make certain arguments, and that is that part of the story is that in an age past, when the dark, generalizing here,
the Great Lord of the Dark,
the Great Lord of the Dark, was first beaten in his last breath. He tainted the male half of the one power,
which is the magic source.
Yes.
Source in this universe.
Yes. So, which led to every man who would use the one power to be slowly driven insane, which in turn led to the so-called breaking of the world, which geographically completely changed the landscape. Harbor cities were suddenly in the mountains and such, because the earth was leveled like that. The whole climate changed accordingly, because suddenly you had mountain ranges where before none were, and so on. And that it's coupled with a bit of a Tower of Babel story, where all the cultures are mixed up in a way.
Mm-hmm.
And that is why woke bullshit cannot work in this story at all. It has no place there, because part of the story is that people we would expect to have a certain culture have a different culture.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a lot of multiculturalism in terms of like the blending of various things. Like Kyrian, they look like, I think you were saying this, they are described as ethnically Japanese, but like a lot of their clothing is Renaissance France.
Yeah,
like,
that's
the giant like hairstyles for the women, where it's like piled high and like really like fat skirt, like really wide skirts. It's very Renaissance, very 17th century, maybe even 18th century France.
Yeah, if you read the description of Tar Valon again, and how it looks on the map, with the river parting as it flows across it and then joins again, it does resemble a description of a romanticized Paris a lot.
Mm.
And the place Meuren is from, it sounds, from the description and how the buildings are set up, it sounds very Japanese.
Mm. Yeah, it's very square and geometric.
Mm-hmm. And then you have the Shanshan, the descendants of the army of Arthur Hawkwing, which I found I had to get used to that, because they translated the name in full in the German version, which in that case makes sense, fit well the medieval world. If you're interested, that would be Arthur Falkenflügel, which sounds very very story-esque if you want. And his descendants. So that's a very tall European army style thing. But his descendants, when they come back over the sea and invade the main continent that the story takes place on, they're described as a very extreme version of Chinese culture.
Yes, that is accurate.
And this whole story is about this mix of people of ethnicity X, and they now have culture Y. Mm-hmm. And everybody has something different. And this is part of the thing that should just tell you it doesn't really matter what we look like.
Mm-hmm.
How our cultures interact is the relevant part.
Mm-hmm. Like Ilion is basic, like the city of Ilion looks very much like Venice in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Where like it's a lot of canals, but the what is even the accent that the Ilioners do?
I don't remember it, but it's various characters complain about the accent.
Yeah, it's like It do be you. Well, by me aged grandmother, I do be willing to do this quest thing.
Is that could that be some Indian thing?
Possibly, I don't know, but they're
Like,
described as having these like giant square beards, but no upper lip, nothing on the upper lip.
and then you have in the place where it's one of the countries that border on the Blight, where fire comes from, and that is
Zaldea.
yeah, and that is sounds a lot like with the turbans and the white curly beard of a father. He's described sounding like a sultan.
I was thinking kind of Mongolian-esque with their horse thing and bow legs, eggs and.
But that could also work for India.
Yeah,
it depends on the period you depict there. That is one of the most interesting things of Wheel of Time, like seeing these different cultures with people you don't expect and the other way around. It's basically the only thing that kind of is stuck at a congruent starting point is Maneteren, the starting country of the main cast. Mm-hmm. Because it's so fucking isolated, nobody ever got there.
Mm-hmm.
Which is also relevant. This is why I bring up this whole rough level inbreeding thing that villages have or countries have to a degree, because it's somewhat
homogeneous.
Homogeneous. Because this is part of the story. The people, you can't just tokenize people in Maneteren. It breaks the whole story, because outside Maneteren, magic users have gotten weaker and weaker and weaker, because the Red Archer has been hunting men since the breaking of the world in order to prevent them from going insane and, well, killing people and doing worse. But that leads to magic users not procreating, because all the men who could procreate, give their magic genes to the next generation, are killed before they have children, usually. So that weakens the whole line. And in Maneteren, for some reason, because they've been inbreeding all the time, because they're so isolated with two big rivers that nobody can cross on two sides, and a giant mountain range on the other, this never happened there. Also, that's why all the characters, all the magic using characters from Maneteren are so insanely strong.
There's also very little in terms of like just the people leaving the two rivers. It's not done. And also there are like 3 towns in the two rivers, that so if you really like,
the rest is just farms.
Yeah, the rest is just farmland.
So it's like I think it was 2 villages and then the border town, and the rest is farms.
There's Tarn Ferry, Devon Ride, and Watch Hill, and Emmonsfield.
Okay, then it's 3 villages.
And the border town of Tarn Ferry, which nobody likes.
Yeah, those people are different. They're weird. Like they're already so inbred and so xenophobic, because the people of the border town are already so different from their culture within that they think that don't trust them. They're weird. They're weird people. Yeah. And this is how medieval places worked. Like you had villages next to each other that just hated each other, and you could just make up this little comic of every night there goes a fiery arrow from one village to the other, and the next night the fiery arrow from the other village to yours, like forever. It's just,
may I respond to this real quick?
Sure.
So in reference to that, it's basically more rather than like great rivers like running through it, it's more like you have 2 rivers creating a peninsula. That's how this is, and it's almost impassable.
The town I'm in has a similar feature where there's the river coming towards the city, and then it splits around the central island, and after that it joins together and into a normal river. The problem with that is that it's all swampland, because it's all, well, there's all groundwater everywhere. Most of the river is passing under the central island.
So
and the in order to make the big buildings work here in medieval times, they already had used the same architectural trick that they used to build Venice. There's giant logs driven into the ground.
Shall we continue with this trailer?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I
No,
get
you're
this.
fine.
I get distracted into details a lot.
Oh
it's
no,
a thing.
that's why I'm here to
Yeah,
kind of keep
just
things
call me
in.
back.
Yeah, of course.
You ready?
What are these noises?
Me either.
That I think is there's been a lot of I think these trailers are basically theory baiting. Like the whole like Wheel of Time YouTube, where the idea that it's winter night and that Egwene and Perrin, this is Perrin and Egwene talking. Let me back up a little bit.
No.
So if you listen carefully.
You ready?
No.
Me either.
So
This is implied innuendo?
No, it's
You can certainly interpret that into this.
Yeah. I think so it's basically just I think it's in the middle of like the winter night, like, and Trollocs are attacking. That's my personal theory. When like, and it's Egwene and Perrin, and Egwene is asking, "You ready?" Perrin says no, and then she says, "Me either." That's the running theory. Though it could also be the White Cloaks. It would be a good setting for a capital city, but in this case, it's basically just three small villages that don't have very good resources. Yeah, and we're about to get into some interesting ones.
Pause. The opening with the bubble of bubbles.
Yeah.
I thought this was supposed to be some introduction to Teleran Riot, the World of Dreams. But
yeah,
then they did the swirly thing for no reason.
Yeah, I think, and they were trying to make the Wheel of Time symbol and be all like cute and artsy. And
yeah, no, fuck that.
It kind of feels like the Force Awakens trailer, only there's actual source material for this.
I would honestly prefer with Wheel of Time to do something archaic.
Okay.
Because Wheel of Time is it's a very serious world. There are humorous moments, but that's more like situational comedy that isn't on purpose. There are no active jokes. There's some moments with Matt where it's I can't recall them on detail, but there are some of these surprise moments with Matt where he's like, "That's weird," or "Why does it work that way?" He thinks that it shouldn't work that way. Yeah, I'm sorry, I can't recall a specific scene. It's that vibe that I got. It's just the series is serious
long
throughout.
Yeah, I think the main like amusing character is Matt Cawthon.
Yes.
Like, where he's like, I may be a fool, but I intend to be a live fool.
Yeah. Yeah. He's like the trickster who doesn't really want to be harmful.
Yeah.
And he begins to hate his luck that is a curse. Because he has to himself figure out how that works and how to utilize it in order that it does not bring harm to him.
Yeah, because like and also like he like, even though like his luck is definitely from him being Ta'Veren, he's like, I ain't Ta'Veren, that ain't Ta'Veren, that's my luck. It's different.
Yeah.
And he's very much deluding himself.
Yeah, well, it's coping, and if you randomly heard giant dice rolling in your head like the gods are playing the Dungeons and Dragons with you, that's the moment where you think, shit, something fucked up's gonna happen, and hopefully I get out alive again, because I don't know.
Mm-hmm. So apparently, Tom Maryland in his 50s, finishing a beer as he heads back to the stage carrying his guitar.
Guitar?
Yep.
He doesn't have a guitar. He has a harp.
Yeah, they decided that they would have a guitar rather than a harp.
You had one fucking job. Why does he have a guitar? How's he supposed to hide that? You can't hide a harp in your cloak, but you can't hide a fucking guitar. What the fuck is wrong with? Why is this a guitar? Are you insane?
Donation for the
Fire!
Gleeman.
Whoever decided this, fire! Fire that person! And everyone who greenlit it. Why is it a fucking guitar? Because the actor only knows how to play a guitar, or what? Do you know what acting is? What is the reason for this? Why do you change this? Of all the things, why do you change something benign as this?
Yeah, we're about
something
to
something
get
so
into something weird. We're about to
something
get
that
into
is so
something weirder.
It has to be. It's a harp because he's playing for the Queen and for chords. He's a very sophisticated man. He doesn't just play the guitar.
Yeah, it's about to get weirder.
This is the whole point why it's a fucking harp.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking, oh god.
Yeah, I'm about to get to the castings.
Oh god.
Which I know you hate.
If you showed me this without telling me it's for Wheel of Time, I would never know it's Wheel of Time because there are no fucking guitars in Wheel of Time. As far as I got, which is 2/3 through the books, there are no guitars.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a sitar somewhere, but I've never seen a guitar.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember a fucking guitar. What the hell?
We do also hear the guy playing Tom speak very briefly in this too.
Donation for the Gleeman.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds too gruff and young.
What's special about the Eye of the World is the themes of balance, of gender.
Stop! What the fuck is? What the fuck was that gay idiot? That's a Californian accent who speaks through his nose as if he did too much cocaine or he's been in the gay scene too long where he did too much cocaine.
Well,
that guy has no spine. Look at him. He's not even looking at the camera. I'm autistic. I know why I'm not looking into the faces of people all the time. This guy looks like he's been caught red-handed while digging his dick into the cookie jar. What the fuck was that?
No,
and this guy makes the decisions about this story?
Yeah, that's the showrunner.
That's the showrunner? This guy's never read Wheel of Time.
I think that he has. I do know that, like, you are correct. That
you would not greenlight any of the things we've seen so far if you've read the fucking books and gave a flying fuck about them. You wouldn't make these changes. Why? If you change these core things, you need a reason for that.
I do know that one person suggested they didn't want to copy Game of Thrones, so they suggested, can Perrin talk to bears instead of wolves?
What the fuck? What? Wheel of Time is not copying Game of Thrones because Wheel of Time is decades older than Game of Thrones. Like, what? I have no words anymore. I only have noises. The level of the insanity of these people.
To which one? But I do know that Rafe Judkins is homosexual. I do know that much. I'm just like, fair play to you. I don't mind.
Yeah. So that's not the problem is not that he's gay. The problem is that a lot of people where you don't even need a gaydar to know they are gay are so fucking idiotic that they destroy everything they touch, not just relationships. Because these people like that are emotional children.
And they're hacks. This guy will be proven to be as much of a hack as the D&D brothers or whatever they were. The Benioff and Weiss or whatever. I don't remember.
Benioff and Weiss.
Were they both called David?
David and Dan.
Yeah, okay. D&D.
Yeah.
If he's not already proven he's a fucking hack, why do these people get these jobs? This guy got this job because he's gay. I cannot explain it any other way because there's no competence here. With the decisions that were already made, there is no competence here, and there's no care for the source material. And I doubt that Robert Jordan would be okay with this. I very much doubt it. And I can only imagine that the licenses for this were given out because the family is running out of money or some bullshit. I do not know why this stuff would be given out to be massacred.
So, I do know that Harriet McDougal. I think that so I don't think so, because I think that Amazon bought the rights from Red Eagle Entertainment, and they have Harriet McDougal and Brandon Sanderson as consulting producers. I don't know how. I don't think they have very much involvement, but I know Brandon Sanderson has read over some of the scripts, and he's like, I like it, but I have to say that there is a change coming that might make some Wheel of Time fans angry.
Why would you make that then? What's the point of it? Why are you doing it? Why?
Because Game of Thrones just wrapped up and they want to cash in.
Game of Thrones never wrapped up and it never will. The series was bullshit. That wasn't a wrap-up. That was just shitting all over something that could have been good.
Yes. Well, technically, it had been bad for 4 seasons.
Yes, it had. Yes, it was on the decline, but that last season was even the 7th season bad. Was an insult. But the 8th season, that was just taking a garden hose and spraying horse manure over the audience.
Uh-huh.
And they go, ha, we did Game of Thrones. We're awesome. Like, no. You should never get a job in that town ever again. You should be tarred and feathered and catapulted.
I think not catapulted, just ridden out on a rail. That's far more painful.
No, if they're tarred and feathered, they can pretend to fly just like their products.
Yeah. So
they'll crash like their products.
But yeah, so
I have no patience for these people anymore.
The world is the themes of balance.
Not gender, sex. Can you say the word? If you're so gay, why can't you say the word sex?
Yeah.
This pretentious bastard.
Yeah, I doubt that anybody in the Wheel of Time. I am not going to share this in any of the Wheel of Time servers. I don't think anybody. I think I would probably.
Yeah, they will call me transphobic or some shit. Yeah, call the tranny transphobic because she doesn't agree with your socialist fantasy anti-science crap. Because zodiac signs are not enough nonsense for you anymore. You have to make up magical genders now and all this other political crap that has nothing to do with reality. I'm sorry. Yeah. I'm just so fucking pissed.
Yeah. So there's that.
Of gender and the emotional journey of these characters.
We're seeing some concept art.
You are not a fan of the books.
Bring this world to life.
You're insulting the fucking books. You're shitting all over the books. I would be so.
So this is Shadow.
I wouldn't feel up to the task if someone offered me that position.
Let's make a deal.
That thing looks wrong.
Yeah.
All right, let's make a deal.
That's not I always imagined the Ruby much bigger and the blade to be parallel and double edged. like a big long triangle. Maybe that's just my imagination, and I overlooked the description of it, but that just looks like some Oriental thing.
Mm-hmm.
The dagger of Shadar Logov looked much more in my
imagination
memory
is that it's curved, kind of like that's curved, like a small scimitar. That's how I imagine it. But
because of the whole description of Shadar Logov, I just put a more Central European visual on it. But maybe I just missed the description or forgot the description. I don't know. But it's just that just looks wrong. It's way too small. The dagger is big.
Yeah.
Especially in the hands of Matt, the dagger is big. Maybe that's also because you can barely fit a hand around that handle. That looks wrong.
Yeah.
It's tiny.
I also kind of imagine more of a curve on it. That just looks like a small falchion design.
Yeah. I imagine a bit shorter than a I think what in English you call a messer.
Mm. Oh. Yeah. So right now they aren't even doing very much in the trailers. They're barely showing anything in the trailers.
It's all horrible. If this alleged fan would be doing a good job, fans would love it as much as they love the teasers for Lord of the Rings.
Mm-hmm. So,
but this is despicable stuff.
Yeah, so we're seeing I'm not sure where this is, but this looks like Rand and Matt traveling around. I don't fully see where this could be. This is probably Winter Night. At least it looks like it. This is clearly the Tinker Wagon.
Yeah.
The Tuathwan. This one is probably just a bridge, like just regular bridge.
That's what you see. What you see there is a little monolith by which you can travel worlds.
The portal stone. Oh, I didn't even realize. I thought that was just a signpost.
No, it's too. It looks too much like a little monolith.
True. And I imagine that this part is Shadar Logoth. That's probably
yeah. And this I already have a negative disposition to this. If you want to see a good depiction of Shadar Logoth, seriously, get the old Wheel of Time video game on Good Old Games and play that. Shadar Logoth is the second level. The first is just the intro. So you get a tutorial, which is already woven into the story, where you as Aes Sedai go through the trials. And then you get the intro to the actual story before the gates of Shadar Logoth, and the second level is already in Shadar Logoth, and you get a really good atmosphere of how this town should feel, and that is way better than this stuff there.
There's definitely as far as I know, there's kind of a feel of the Lovecraft book into Mountains of Madness, a feel about at least the city, or the city.
I think my problem is that these were very narrow streets. Shadar Logoth, as I remember it, and as it was also displayed in the game, had very wide streets. The buildings were insanely high, yes, but you had wide streets. Because it was like every street was a parade street. And that's not what we just saw here in the trailer.
No. And it could be that this is the sheath for the dagger, and then that's the hilt, but it just kind of looks odd.
I still think it looks too small. It has the wrong shape. I wouldn't even have made the ruby round.
Yep.
Or at least not this round.
Yeah.
All right, let's make.
I wonder how that's going to function into things, because that's not a line from the book. So I imagine they're baiting theories like, is he making a deal with Mordeth for the dagger or something?
That would be nonsensical.
Yeah, it would be.
And what I can imagine is that they put scenes and dialogue together that don't belong together.
Probably, yeah.
Dude.
So here we get our first glimpse of Marlin.
Do not underestimate the women in this tower.
Why is she not a small, petite Asian woman? And instead some old European lady? She doesn't look ageless either. She looks like she's past her 40s. What the fuck was that?
Oh, that's Lan.
That's not Lan, that's some Asian dude. Lan is a chiseled European monolith with broad shoulders. Like this is a small lived samurai. Like Lan is a mountain of a man. Like not shaped like the mountain from Game of Thrones, but he's your archetypal
giant
medieval. He's He-Man
type. Knight type. He's a knight in a lot of ways.
Yeah, and he doesn't. This guy already made way too many facial expressions. Lan doesn't have facial expressions. Lan gives you a feeling of a facial expression, but he doesn't really make faces. Like you have the feeling he's raising his eyebrow, but he's not raising his eyebrow. Like you just feel he's doing it. You could do this so amazingly, and this is just crap.
Yeah.
The whole point about Moiren is that she's small, that you underestimate her. And just read the first book where she appears the first time. The way her features are described. And this is the great thing about what I liked about this is what I seriously. Here the guy who played Geralt, he should be playing Lan. That would work.
Yeah,
that would work. Yeah, but this is what I liked about Wheel of Time, because Robert Jordan avoids racial words like Asian or something. He just describes the looks, and you can deduce from the descriptions, if you put it back together, what that looks like. I'm sorry, Moiren, she sounds Asian, maybe Japanese. From my memory of what the description was. And Lan is this, he has this chiseled face. Not this guy we just saw, he has a round Asian face. It's not chiseled at all.
So
like, how can you cast people so wrong?
So shall we get into the people they've put on the series and their credentials?
Oh god.
Okay, so we have 3 directors so far on the IMDb. There's
I'd say that's already too many.
Uta
Briesewitz.
Yep.
A German woman.
Oh, Jesus.
What did she do before? True Blood.
Wait. Okay, so she's Stranger Things, Black Sails, Altered Carbon.
Question is what in Black Sails? Black Sails is actually something I did watch, and I thought it started out well, and then in the latest seasons it turned subtly woke, and ever more so, and it to the point where it got annoying.
Okay.
Because I really liked that series in the beginning.
So she's only done 1 episode of. She did 1 episode of Westworld, 2 episodes of Stranger Things in chapters. I think it was season 1. It looks like she did 1 episode of The Defenders. She only did 1 episode of Black Sails, and that was.
Oh yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, that fits the bill, because that was a very feminist episode. That was a very feminist episode. The old woman you see here, she was the actual brain behind the giant corporation of her husband. She was the reason it all worked, and she worked together with the whore of the.
With Max.
Yeah. Or attempted to, or offered the deal to make it work. And in the end, it was just the women running everything. That was the story. The main character turned out to be gay.
And then, okay, so season 1 she directed. She directed a couple episodes of Altered Carbon. They were the last two episodes of the show. Okay. Of this season, I mean, of season 1.
And well,
Okay,
directing is not writing, so she probably
Yeah.
didn't write the script. So that's another. That's we need to distinguish that. So it's not necessarily responsible for that being a flat feminist episode.
Mm-hmm. So, we have Sally Richardson Whitefield, who I personally am a fan of, mostly because I watched Gargoyles, and she was the voice of Elisa Maza on Gargoyles.
Okay.
So, she is. Yeah, she did a couple. It seems like they're bringing over a couple of people from Altered Carbon, which is interesting because Altered Carbon is makes Game of Thrones look conservative in some ways.
She worked on Dear White People.
Apparently, she's also in. She also directed The Punisher, Black Lightning. Okay.
Oh, and she worked on American Gods. I stayed away from that for the same reason.
She worked on. I think she was both a star and somebody who worked on a character and a person on Eureka. She's also gotten a lot. She's also most of her stuff is acting credits.
I only watched the first season of Eureka when it came out.
Yeah, I've never watched it. I've just seen scenes with her in it because I think she's awesome. I don't know anything about Wayne Yip.
Is the sound coming from you?
Yes, that would be my sister and my cousin.
Okay. So
apparently she was a director on Doctor Who.
Yeah, that doesn't really help.
He was a director, not she. He was on Doom Patrol, Doctor Who, Empress of Okay, season 11, episode 11. Okay. It's not. Okay, 2017. Okay, so he's only directed one episode of New Who. Okay. Okay. So most of it's. Oh, he's on Lord of the Rings as well. That's interesting.
I would generally say the problem will probably not be the directors, because even Rian Johnson had directed episodes of Breaking Bad and it didn't stand out as worse. The relevant part is the writing.
That is true. He's only written 6 things. That's interesting. Or at least he only has 6 shows under his belt. That's interesting. A couple episodes of Chuck.
Never heard of any of these.
No. Mostly I've watched all of Blacklist because I like that kind of show. But yeah, I think these episodes seem pretty good. Doesn't seem too bad. Michael Clarkson. He is. Oh, that actually inspires some measure of Okay, so he's a producer on Haunting of Bly Manor, which Haunting of Bly Manor is very, very good. And he wrote Two Faces Part 2, which is one of the better episodes of that season. Okay. So that looks pretty good. Okay. Paul Clarkson. Oh, another Bly Manor and his Dark Materials alumni. That's interesting. Okay. Continuity department. Okay. So he's been in a couple of book adaptations. So, okay. That doesn't look too bad.
And then so far the question is who brings in the woke changes and the nonsensical changes.
Okay, so this person has done nothing, other than has done very little. Okay, Irene Sendler, makeover.
What is that? Do I want to know?
It's this. It's a sequel
to. Is it a soft porn?
No, it's not. It's a Netflix show that is a sequel to a mermaid show, where basically if any of these girls or this guy touch water, they will turn into a mermaid right there and then, or merman.
Okay.
Yeah. So, okay. So not nothing that gives me Oh,
You know that name?
yes. I do know that name. Okay. Oh, Dave Hill. Oh, I hate that man. I really don't like him.
The
Okay.
animated history of the Seven Kingdoms?
Okay.
That doesn't sound good.
Okay. So Dave Hill was David Benioff's assistant.
Oh,
And then he promoted him to one of the head writers. And he was one of the only 4 writers on only one of 4 writers total on season 8. He wrote the first episode.
Oh my god.
He's an assistant for 30, and then he was a story editor and an executive story editor. And he just was promoted to that. He was promoted to a major credit. And I'm just like, yeah,
that explains things.
Yeah, that's kind of how Mr. Benioff worked. Was he promoted his assistants, and one of his assistants he just arbitrarily like said, hey, why don't we have my assistant write it? He's smart. Even when HBO no, literally, like that's the story. Like that's how he tells the story on live.
So because he doesn't know how to do anything, he just promotes people who are less incompetent than him.
Actually, not even that. The guy the writer, Brian Cogman, was an actor at Juilliard that was just jobbing around. His wife babysat for David Benioff, and he was Benioff's assistant. So he said, hey, you should write an episode. No, really.
What?
You didn't? Yeah.
No. Oh God.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
There are actual fans of these things that would close to kill to get these opportunities. He's handing it to his babysitter.
Well, not even that. Not even his babysitter. His babysitter's husband.
It's getting worse. Like, how many hops is this? What?
Yeah.
Then just do a lottery.
Yeah, and for an actor who went to Juilliard, he doesn't seem to know how acting works, because his impression is, I can write an entire scene with no dialogue and just script the subtext. Oh, I never told you. Did you know that you've seen the season 3 of Game of Thrones, right?
Yeah, what, season 3?
Yeah. You remember that moment where Dany has fire coming up behind her when she takes the Unsullied?
Was that when the tent burned up?
Not when the tent burned up. That was the when she got the guys with the spears and the black armor.
Oh, wait.
So
I only remember the Unsullied standing in the pits.
That's fine. So basically, they had a moment where there's a lot of explosives going up behind Dany, and they were in Morocco, and Morocco has a ban on high explosives. So they decided, we're not going to do a CG. We're going to smuggle explosives into Morocco.
What?
Yeah, and guess where they admitted that?
Did Morocco charge them with breaking international law?
No, they just admitted that in their behind-the-scenes book that they smuggled explosives into Morocco.
Cool. You're international terrorists. Fuck off.
Yeah.
For TV series, come the fuck on.
They also waterboarded one of their actresses.
What?
Yeah, you know when Cersei is pouring water all over, pouring wine all over the nun lady, that was that took 10 hours. They did that for 10 hours.
They reshot that scene for 10 hours.
Yep, and she kept pouring wine on top of her, and the lady said it was the worst experience I ever had aside from giving birth. Like, it was the most pain. It's like, oh my gosh.
That's not worth it. I mean, but why?
Yeah.
How? Why do you need to reshoot that scene for 10 hours?
Yeah.
You can't tell
also-
me that there's not one good take before the end of those 10 hours. That just sounds like you enjoying doing this to someone.
Yeah, they also lied to the Sansa and Arya actors and told them they would be coming to the after party, and told them they had set up their own private party at McDonald's for them.
What?
But they ended up lying to them. That was just a prank. They also put a baby on a block of ice in a refrigerated room.
What?
Yeah, you know
Dude, this is worse than what Fritz Lang did for shooting for shooting Metropolis, because that at least was just negligence.
Mm-hmm.
When Fritz Lang shot Metropolis, it's not in the actual used footage. I think it's part of lost footage, where you have a scene with baptizing children, and they're all standing in the river, and it was shot for so long that some of the children got a cold, and one of the children died because of pneumonia, or hypothermia, and the footage wasn't even used in the end, and. So that's just negligence. But putting a child on a block of ice?
Yeah, you remember? Do you remember in when the Night King turned Craster's baby into a White Walker and his eyes turned blue?
Yeah.
That the block of ice that they put that baby on wasn't plastic.
Why?
Because ice has air bubbles, whereas plastic does not. That is the only reason why they put it on a baby.
Yeah, then I'm sorry. In that case, CG it. I'm sorry even if it looks shit. Either you use a fake baby or you use fake ice, but you don't use a real baby on real ice. Fuck you.
And he's not even swaddled properly. Like his chest is exposed, and like you can actively see him, like his cheeks. Like it looks like he's getting hypothermia. They also, like in an earlier scene, like when like the baby's born, there were, I think Benioff and Weiss said, we were consistently saying, make sure you have a shot of the baby's penis.
What?
Yeah, they've admitted this. It's really
These
weird.
people are insane. These people are
Benioff
insane and
Weiss.
obsessed.
Well, it's the weirdest thing is Benioff and Weiss aren't woke. They're literal nihilists. At least woke people ostensibly believe in something. These guys don't even believe in anything. They think, like he said, that themes are for 8th grade book reports. Like he's like they are very much like they're not even like in the same crowd as Rian Johnson. They don't believe in anything.
These people are absolute hags.
Yeah. So
like, as bad as Rian Johnson is, and as violent, destructive as he is, he at least wants to make something. Even if it's something that everybody hates, but these guys, they just don't want to make anything.
Yeah.
They even got this job, my God.
So he was on Survivor, which is interesting. So the showrunner was originally on Survivor, I think.
I'm just seeing that there's a lot of stuff I've never watched, and I don't know why, but never made its way to my attention.
Yeah, you did a bunch of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which most of these episodes I can't tell right off the bat, but he hasn't done very much. So in terms of like the writing, okay, Celine Song has basically said this is her first job, so I guess like jobbing.
Ugh.
So there's a couple of theories.
So that doesn't inspire confidence, and I would believe that the main problem is Dave Hill and the guy you showed me in the beginning, the showrunner.
That what? Let me go back to Rafe Judkins.
Was that Dave Hill? Rafe Judkins, that guy.
Yeah.
That guy and Dave Hill.
Yeah.
That I would bet that they are the reasons that this is being turned into shit.
That is a possibility. Yes.
It needs to come from somewhere, and and I would doubt that it's the executive boardrooms of producers or something. I mean, yeah, he's a producer here or something, but It's just like, why? Why do they keep doing this? And you know, this is what always pissed lots of kids off with the Uwe Boll video game movies, because there, for other reasons, the characters didn't look anything and often didn't act like anything like the video game characters that they were supposed to mimic. And the stories were shit, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And this is just the same scam for another reason.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, Uwe Boll at least admitted that he was doing it as a scam to get money out of the German movie fund.
Yeah. So funny thing. One of my my videos got accidentally went live. I don't know for what reason why it got put out. And I'm now getting a copyright strike. And I got a copyright strike for some reason, even though I didn't intend to put it out. That's unfortunate. Well, I'll edit it and like say, hey, I'm trying to make it private, you idiot. Yeah. But yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm so emotional about this, but
Yeah.
I'm so sick of these people ruining everything and injecting that. So we have seen twists in this already that have absolutely no reason, that make no sense at all, and then we already see, just from the glimpse of Lan, we see a casting choice that makes no sense, that just looks like racial tokenism in a series where you have representation of various races and various cultures in the first place. So why do you need to change it? Why can't you play it the way it is? Because that's part of the fucking story. The people from this is classic fantasy thing. People from different races and cultures come together to solve a thing. Bam.
Yeah.
So why do you need to change it and mix it up? For what reasons? You already have that. You already have that in the story.
Mm-hmm.
Why can't you make it authentic? Why? Why do you go out of your way to do it the opposite of authentic? Because that's what's happening.
Yeah. So the weirdest thing about this is that Min Farshaw has the most episodes listed, which is interesting. 3 episodes, which is very interesting.
Of course, the ogre is played by a black guy. Ha 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 ha.
Yeah, the ogre. Yeah.
Who? What are they gonna do? Do they just put on some bad makeup on him? Because loyal, then they would need to CGI if they do him right.
Yeah, probably.
Like he's how tall is he? 210, 220?
Let me look up loyal. Loyal is about 10 feet tall.
10 feet. 10 feet. Wow, it's what, 250? I have to look that
I
up.
think so. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a giant. You can't just do that with makeup.
Yeah. I think they'll probably like do a lot of forced perspective weirdness.
Oh, that's 3 meters.
Yep.
Holy shit, that's tall.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
So
I always underestimated his height. Wow.
he's like 4 feet taller than Rand, who's supposed to be 6'6".
And that is already a giant.
Yeah. So one thing that was interesting is that part of the table read, somebody noticed that there was a lady named Lila Abara, and there's nobody of that name in the books. So there's a few theories about who that could be.
Oh, so they're making up more crap because apparently there's not enough story in what is it, 15 books, 14, 15?
Yeah, that's 14.
It was supposed to be 12.
It's 14, including the prequel.
Mm-hmm.
So Lila Abara, Fail is not there yet.
Oh, but they make up
So-
another character. Great.
So Lila Abar, the presiding theory is that she is either Perrin's sister or she's Perrin's wife.
She can't be Perrin's wife.
Yeah. So that's the
Phyllis is first wife. That makes no sense.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's the theory. There's also a lady
Stop with
named
this shit.
Yeah, there's also a lady named Dana. I know she is not in the books, as far as I know.
So, token black woman, so we can
Mhm.
have token black woman for the race
Mhm.
fetish, or what is this?
I don't know, honestly. There are.
Why do you need to invent more characters? Like they're already Wheel of Time already
could
has
be-
1,000 characters.
It could. One thing that it could be is that's a placeholder name to throw people off because they know that people will look on IMDb.
I don't, dude. This story is what,
It could
30
be.
years old?
There's also the
Don't
element
give me this
of
crap of throwing people off. This is a 30-year-old
it's
book.
True, and I think they just are. I know the Tricans are not in the books in the series so far. They haven't been cast, and they're probably no. The Elaine
They're probably
and
turning
Gus-
Elaine black because she's a redhead.
Hmm.
Rather,
Yeah.
it's golden red.
Mm-hmm. One other theory was I think that Dusty Wheel put this forward that it could be Lanfear. Or Lanfear's one of
No.
Lanfear's disguise since
Yeah, disguises.
apparently-
It could only be if well, they wouldn't do it. They would probably turn the actual Lanfear black. But
Same.
Lanfear should be. She's pale as a freshly painted wall.
Yeah. One kind of thing that a lot of people say that like it's kind of problematic for the most beautiful woman in the world to be described as a white lady.
Why?
I don't know. It's kind of
This is a European setting for the most part.
and
That's where her culture comes from.
and
Or
there's
initially,
specific
like
descriptions of-
3,000 years ago or something.
and there's specific descriptions of someone like Cimarag being black.
Oh god, and you know what that thing is implying? That's also implying that the most beautiful woman couldn't possibly be white because that can't ever be beautiful. That's also what you're saying when you say that.
Yeah.
And that is, I'm sorry, that is way more racist than depicting characters the way they are authentic.
Mhm.
You
Okay.
could interpret it simply as she's the most beautiful woman in her culture in that era,
Mm-hmm.
because those standards do shift. And I think there might even, I'm not sure, there was a scene in Tavalon where either Nynaeve or Egwene, I think Egwene, for a moment saw through Lanfear's disguise and saw her true form.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember the description, but it wasn't the tall, thin, super pale woman that she presents herself as. She does look different. That's just the thing she wants to be seen as. So that in itself, her most wonderful look is just a disguise of herself that she wants to be perceived as, that she thinks is the most beautiful thing in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently the writers don't catch up on this.
Mm-hmm. So,
And was there? Well, there was no active mention of Lanfear in the first book, I think.
She's mentioned as one of the Forsaken very briefly, but she is not a character until 2.
So I could only imagine this as some flash scene compilation about characters or something, which rather I would completely forgo until I go into this into the second book or later when I actually need these characters. I would keep the casting off until then.
Yeah. We don't know, actually. There is a slight theory that apparently there are 8 episodes. The prevailing idea, again, among some people, could always be wrong, is that the show is going to cover the first 2 books rather than just the first.
In 8 episodes?
Yeah.
No, you can't do that properly.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the idea, is that they would cut out a large chunks of, like, at least like some of like the traveling scene, like some of the traveling scenes and stuff like that.
No, those are amazing, and that's the whole point. Is because this drives home to the reader and the viewer that traveling on foot, which is what Matt and Rand are doing, takes fucking forever. It's how the adventure starts. It's the world is big and huge, and only later in the series, when we get access to consistent horse travel, we get access to consistent magical travel, and even that can take long. It just makes things a little faster, but it's not like when they're probably gonna go into a scene where, oh, we're entering the ways, now we're leaving the ways. There's shit happening in the ways.
Or gateway travel.
Yeah, and it's dangerous. What's it called?
Or gateway travel.
Yeah, and all these different things. Like they're just not, oh, we do it now we're in the other town. I hate when they do these fast breaks. In Wheel of Time, all the travel until actual direct portal travel, which is the closest thing to teleportation they have, is rediscovered. All travel takes a long time and is dangerous. It's a whole build up. The whole travel of Matt and Rand is so important because it shows you it also shows you the slow decline of Matt as he succumbs to the curse of the dagger. It needs to be long. You need to see how he's slowly getting worse and worse and more or less turning into Gollum. And you can't do this if you just throw it down in an episode or 2. It doesn't work. This needs to take its time, and it needs to show that here we go from these village boys who are growing up on this dangerous adventure that is threatening their lives at every turn. And then once you are finally in Tar Valon, that still doesn't mean that the story really starts.
And honestly, Rand doesn't really go to Tar Valon in the first 8 books.
It's just, it has to be a long ass journey, and you take away so much from this world if you speed that up. That's not the boring part. That's the interesting part, because it gives you it. This is what builds immersion. And this is what made the first season of Game of Thrones so good, because it took its time. When I see people just rushing through to the end of a book to get to the next book, and all I see is people who want to jack off to getting to the big fireballs and shit, to the big action scenes. And no, that should be the cherry on top that you get at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Take your time. Make it, and if you plan it out for even just for this American style we have now with 10 episodes per season, like or per book, like, okay, then you have a structure, you can plan around that, and then, yeah, I don't know, and I think the journey alone, because most of the first book is just travel, is I must sound like I'm repeating myself over and over.
Mm-hmm. So
do 3 episodes of the travel to Tar Valon.
Mm-hmm.
Just that, because there's enough happening on that way. The whole instance with Tom Marilyn, for example.
Yeah, a lot of the stuff with Tom Marilyn is very critical, especially like when you find out, oh, so
Honestly, I find
no.
50 is too young. The way he sounds is like he's this Methuselah character. I always found the age difference between more guys and Tom Marilyn is insane.
Yeah, she was really thirsty when she was a kid, when she was a young lady.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And she still is when she's old.
Yeah. Yeah, since one of the episodes is so the episode titles so far are let me see. So currently episodes are let me see, actually find that. Let me find that. Okay, so season 1, Leave Taking, Shadows Waiting, A Place of Safety, The Dragon Reborn, Blood
What?
Calls Blood, The Flame of Tarvalon.
You call episode 4 The Dragon Reborn? By what justification? What happens there? Is that, I mean, you could, if you were already in God, what's the name? The capital city.
Faldara?
No, where more guys is ruling in Andor.
Camelin?
Yes. The episode where the scene where the false dragon is paraded through the main street and Rand is falling off a tree into the garden of Elaine.
Mm-hmm. Which is probably going to be cut since they haven't they're casting for season 2 and they're describing Elaine.
That's such a classic scene. If you forgo that, that's just such a
classic
fantasy classic scene of the still dazzled by the big world boy who thinks adventures are great, falls from a tree into the garden of a princess.
Yeah, it's classic. But it looks as though, like, Leave Taking, like, they're going to have Emmons Field in one episode, then Shadar Logoth, and then Place of Safety. Maybe
that is way too quick in Shadar Logoth. That is way too quick.
Yep. And then The Dragon Reborn, and then Blood Calls Blood and The Flame of Tarvalon.
Go back up. That means in the first episode. So if episode 2 is already in Shadar Logoth, that means the first episode in its probably 1 hour does Emonsfield, the Trolloc attack, fleeing Emonsfield, the whole introduction with Moiren, by the way, as well, all the way to Berlon, meeting Min, leaving, and then the group being split up in Shadar Logoth.
Or that's like, kind of where, or the
all in one episode.
Yeah, it seems
that's
like,
half the book.
Yes, and then Shadows Waiting. So I guess like the idea might be either kind of like they get Shadar Logoth and then the Dark Friends running after of Matt and Rand. There's also the option of and then the Place of Safety, it's either like that's probably with the Tuathalan and maybe like the Steading. And then the Dragon Reborn, which kind of indicates to me that that's the end of, they're going to put book 1
in 4 episodes.
In 4 episodes.
That is horrible. That is so rushed. Book 1 alone is enough to so basically books 1 and 2 are a closed story, because that's just from what I remember from an interview with Robert Jordan. He wrote book 1 and 2 only to figure out whether he can write a story, whether he can write a good fantasy book that satisfies him enough. And that's why a lot of the beginning of Wheel of Time in the first book resembles Lord of the Rings so much, because that's where what he got inspired by. Logically, a lot of fantasy writers in those times were inspired by Lord of the Rings, of course, because it was the big fantasy thing.
So the thing that concerns
Sanderson
me
was inspired by Wheel of Time to become a writer. That's so it goes on, and the wheel keeps turning.
Yep. So what concerns me is Blood Calls Blood and the Flame of Tarvalon are things in Great Hunt. So I think that basically they might have the climax in episode 4 of The Dragon Reborn, and then have some stuff where, and then have the Torn being stolen as a cliffhanger, and then because they've already done they've already announced the first episode of season 2, A Taste
What?
of Solitude. That's apparently what it is.
No.
I will have to. Let me actually take a look.
Maybe the episode titles don't even make sense because they want to build up hype about crap by building up theories. Because they have nothing, they have no substance to show.
That's
when they write these characters so broken that.
So
can we make Parent Talk to Bears? Oh God.
So the interesting thing is, Taste of Solitude is the title of Lord of Chaos chapter 18.
Oh my God.
I don't
book
think
5.
No, it's book 6.
Oh yeah, right. Lord of Chaos. I always mix up Lord of Chaos and Fires of Heaven.
Yeah,
My bad.
For me, like Fires of Heaven kind of was redeemed somewhat by the fact that Crosses of Twilight is pretty meh. It's basically just,
now you scare me.
Oh, like Fires of Heaven, is very slow, but it's basically Perrin gets supplies, Matt goes on dates, and Rand appears in 2 chapters. That's the extent of the book plot.
It was mainly for the magical things that happen from the perspectives of other people. That's why Rand had such little actual time in it.
Yeah, in Crossroads, yeah. And I think there's also Egwene's wrangles, butts heads with sitters. I think that was the other thing. So I don't know what to think of this at the moment. What I'm sensing right now is that they'll have the first 4 episodes cover Eye of the World, and then 2 episodes covering the first bit of the Great Hunt. That's what it looks like.
Horrible. Honestly, I do not want to watch this. I will definitely not watch it alone. I will definitely not watch it to entertain myself. I hate cringe, and I hate the destruction of culture, and this is to me cultural vandalism.
Yeah. I kept it vague. It's basically even less detailed than you would read on the back of the synopsis of the book. So I won't do that. I won't give you any details. So this is Min Farshaw.
No.
So going over, we'll go over the. We're going over the.
Why is she Asian?
Yeah, I don't know.
And she looks too old. Min is a cute little tomboy.
Yeah, she's about 25 in the books.
Yeah.
She's about Nynaeve's age. I would be down.
No, I don't know. I imagined Min with round face with large eyes. Really large eyes. Like she's this girl that just looks into any direction and just looks like she's planning something. Like she's the girl version of Matt, but for in a different way.
So what do you think of this artwork?
The one in green. I like that one.
That one? Yeah.
Yeah, that makes a good Min.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I would love to watch this on Discord because I think that it would be very amusing, but I want to make sure to record it because I think it would be hilarious.
Yeah, if anyone forces me to watch this, you have to get my reactions the first time because I'm never gonna watch this ever again. I don't even want. I don't want this to be made. Who is he supposed to be?
That's loyal.
That's loyal.
That is indeed loyal.
Why? Yeah. So you have to CGI him into some fantasy creature anyway. Jar Jar Binks or Gollum. So
Yeah.
you're not supposed to see his real face anyway. There are these I don't know what it's in English, Kupferstich. These copper depictions, illustrations in the books where you see what an ogre looks like in Wheel of Time. And I'm sorry, you can't do that with makeup. You can't fake that with makeup. Not at that size. That's way too much. Doing tricks with the hobbits and in different with some perspective tricks, okay. But with the 3 meter tall ogre, nope.
So this is kind
not gonna buy it.
This is some artwork of what an ogre looks like based on descriptions. The series.
I don't look him all. I don't like him all too much, to be honest. That's a bit closer. That looks too human.
This?
Yeah. That one. It has a bit troll-like, but he's closer to it. Can you bring up the original artwork in the books?
I think that's like a guy named Samus. That's supposed to be Samael, which I'm just like, I could take that being Samael. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Also, is that closer? What do you think of his land?
Yeah, definitely. That goes way closer to what he looks like. Only minor differences.
Mm-hmm.
That looks very close to the real depiction.
Yeah.
Yeah, he has the right look about him. The spear has a bit of a too big blade, but otherwise, yeah, you can work that.
Also, this as
yes, and he has all the things. He has the shawl, he has the medallion, he has the hat.
The scarf.
That I like that spear much more.
Mm-hmm.
The one you just had.
And there's Tam. That's not a good version. I think of Tam. That's Garth Bryn. Well, so far, like, we don't have much in the way of like casting. We know a few people. So, getting back to that, this is Master Grinwell. It's not a big deal, I imagine. It's just he's the random guy. This is Alana Mosfani, the lady who bonds Rand against his will.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Yeah,
she's too young, and wrong face, wrong hair. What I imagined her to be like is European 50s helicopter mom.
Ooh, Alana Mosfani, interesting. So she's described as having like very dark skin in Lord of Chaos. And that's like dark hair. And so one interesting thing about it is that I think like in the casting release, like it's apparently like described as like her relationship with her warders is polyamorous.
What?
At least that's from the. Let me see.
Oh wait. You mean because she's a green sister?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if that is ever the right term.
Yeah. So.
I would not use the term, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's more like it depicts the what SJWs are doing when they say polyamorous all the time. It's just not that everybody loves everyone equally and has a fair say. It's that you have a woman at the center and then a star-shaped relationship graph, where it's everybody sims for the woman, and that's what the Green Sisters do. She has a bunch of drones, which are her guardians, that do her bidding and keep her alive. Which makes sense in the sense that they are the battle sisters who lead armies and therefore need a bigger personal guard.
Mm-hmm.
But they drive it up to the whole. Oh, let's fuck with all my bonded guardians who magically like me due to the bond we have. it does sound a bit odd, doesn't it?
So in the Deadline article announcing the casting, Alana is renowned for her kindness and her temper. Instead of having one mortar like Moraine, she has two, Yvonne and Maxim. The three of them have a complicated relationship based on love, sex, and respect that welts them into a fearsome force in battle.
And it's also that the bond compels them to like her. So fuck that. This is not free love. This is not completely consensual. There are things about the bond between water and Aes Sedai that mess with your mind. And there are a lot of other mind control spells in that world that are not explicitly called that.
Mm-hmm.
And this is why, by the way, the whole bonding rant to Alana against his will is seen by others as a form of rape.
Yeah, it's creepy. It's really creepy.
It's a
violation.
It's psychological harm, and yeah, it's
Yep.
It's disgusting. That's the whole point, and she does regret it because she learns to feel what actual pain he's going through the bond.
Yeah. So, a few others. Isla, the Tinker Woman. I think this is fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fine.
She has a very painful smile on this photograph.
Yeah, I'm kind of like, why would you waste Meredith Doyle Kennedy? She's great in The Tudors. I'm kind of sad that they're kind of like wasting her in kind of a small role, but I guess so. So let's kind of get to the big one first. This is Egwene.
No.
I remember
What the fuck? She's flat as a board. Egwene's described as having an ample bosom. Her bosom is described all the fucking time, just like Elaine's, by the way. She's at the very least a C cup, which makes sense for Central European inbred village people. What the fuck is this bony creature?
I think you described her as a mutant or something.
But that was probably another picture you showed me. But this is what the fuck? No, this is not Egwene. Okay. Here's the thing: this woman, especially with that face on her, I might be okay with if you cast her as Nynaeve. But even Nynaeve has tits. But the vibe she gives off, that could be Nynaeve.
Yeah. I think this was the picture I showed you.
What the fuck is this? Is she anorexic?
I love you, Wisp. Never
That's
change.
I'm sorry, that is not Egwene. That is never Egwene. Egwene has a healthy body type.
So, Tyler Preston. That is a girl. That is meant to be the
I look more like a girl than that.
The main love interest.
The childhood friend.
Yeah, the childhood friend who
That's not a chest. I've seen traps with more of a chest. Like, no.
She is very much not what I would picture as Egwene. And apparently
you cast this woman for Egwene if you want to piss people off for making her especially not look like Egwene.
Yeah, and there's a lot of Egwene hate in kind of the non-woke fandom, and even like some people in the like kind of semi-woke fandom don't like her.
Well, she gets a lot handed to her. She has a relatively easy story. It's mainly her real struggle begins after the schism of Tar Valon. That's where she has to. I think that's where she has some struggle in the waist, but I think her real fight begins only after the schism of Tar Valon, when they get to the what was the Saladar Salida. Yeah, the
Yeah.
village, the secret village.
I don't think.
That's where her Hard Ice Die story starts. And
Yeah.
before that, she doesn't really have much of an issue with anything. She's just walking through the story.
Yeah, and there are like, I think there's one hardcore semi-psychotic Egwene stan who's like a mod throughout the WoT discords that I found, that's just like, she's like always going on about like how much she hates Rand, and like how much she loves Egwene, and like how much she hates the Egwene hate. And all you need to do like to say is like, you do realize that talking about the morality of fictional characters is utterly pointless and is just a thought experiment.
That sounds like, that just sounds like your typical feminist who hates men and likes Mary Sue's, because Egwene borders on that. She's not. I would not say she is a Mary Sue, but there are moments where it borders on it, because it takes very long for her to face an actual challenge.
I think part of it is the first major challenge she faces is the Shan-Chan, and then she does get captured, at least in book 2 and 3. And then like, I think Lanfear completely destroys her in book 5. Just like turns her into a broken puddle on the ground. But like, she doesn't really have that many obstacles for the next few books. And Madeline Madden's pretty young. She's only ever been in, the first major thing that I think she's been in was Dora the Explorer movie, which I'm just like, I refuse to watch that. I hate Dora.
I watched the trailer with Johan the other day. He had to show it to me, and I never watched the cartoon. That was past my childhood. But I thought, this is just bad, whether you know anything about Dora the Explorer or not. And then he showed me from 2013 a college humor adaptation of let's pretend we're making a Dora the Explorer movie, and a trailer. And then they made 3 mini episodes. That was good. If that had been made into a movie, that would be actually awesome stuff.
So by extension, this is Egwene's mom.
Why is she Indian?
It's probably an extension of
these people. This is Aemon's Field. This is Maniteren. Everybody's the same fucking race because they've been inbreeding for thousands of years. I'm sorry. There are no diverse ethnicities and races in Aemon's Field and Maniteren at large. They're all the same fucking people because there's not a lot of them there, and they've never had contact with the outside world. They're completely homogeneous.
So
the only exception is Perrin, because he's there as an apprentice for the blacksmith, for the Luhans.
Oh
my God.
So I think that this might be an interesting video to cover. Smud will never cover it, but yeah.
You can't resolve the casting controversy because this is deliberately made to destroy the original work.
Yeah. So the funny
why
thing
are you shitting over the character choices of the author?
Yeah.
What right do you have in the first adaptation ever made to shit about the character creation, the character description, the setup of the author?
Mm-hmm.
Who gives you that right?
Yeah.
That is just shitting over it.
It's also 45 minutes long.
Oh God.
It's long.
You know, I EFAB things involuntarily.
Yeah. So, yeah. So we have so this is supposed to be Leandrin, the leader of the Black sister. Yeah, the little Black God.
Wasn't she a red sister?
Yes, she was a Red Sister, and then she added herself as Black Aja when she left with the other 13.
She has the right vibe, let's say.
Yeah, I think the Kate Fleetwood works. It's funny thing. She was actually Cattermole's wife in the Muggleborn who is about to get thrown in the slammer in Deathly Hallows Part 1. So I don't know who Mark Fletcher's lead warder. I don't know what that is. He's probably like it's probably like the Amerlin's warder or something. That's probably it. That's my thought at least.
Was he ever mentioned?
Mentioned once. I think that's probably just something else. Darren Clark, Basil Gill. Let me see. Actually, who?
Basil Gill needs to be a fat guy. He needs to be really fat. He needs to be, this guy is way too trained. Basil Gill needs to be. He's this fat guy with the rosy cheeks who looks a bit like a pig.
So,
yeah, okay, that picture that can work.
Yeah, I think
that can work for Basil Gill.
Yeah. It's kind of annoying that then we have Steppen, one of her warders. It's kind of irrelevant. He's fine.
So I'm, for total side characters, that's not that important. But doing all the main cast and the extended main cast, you need to get that right.
Mm-hmm.
You need to get the cultures and race mix-ups right that Wheel of Time does, because that's what the story is about.
Mm-hmm.
Was she supposed to be?
That is Liana Sharif.
Well, she does get the dreadlocks.
She doesn't get the dreadlocks. She is the Amerlin's keeper of the Chronicles.
Oh wait! Oh, I mixed that up.
I
mixed that up with Leandro. No. The Amerlin's keeper is of the White Archer, and she's pale as fuck.
That would be Alviarin.
No, God. Okay, I'm. Oh God, this is
a different. You're thinking of Elida's keeper, not Swan's keeper.
Okay, yeah. I'm. It's too long ago. I read it, and I'm mixing up the names.
I don't have a problem with that. I think it's fine. I don't have a problem with that.
I thought you were showing me the White Sister that looks like a ghost almost.
Alviarin, no. Alviarin has not been cast yet.
Okay.
So this is Jeffrey Bornhold, the White Cloak who captures Perrin in Book 1.
Yeah, that can work.
Yeah, I'm okay
that
with that.
Can work.
Yeah, I'm cool with that. This is Matt Cawthon. I personally really like this casting.
The who?
Matt Cawthon. Matrim Cawthon.
Matt Couton. It's what I called him all the time. I'm sorry if that comes completely butchering it.
No, it's fine. I'm biased for the audiobook pronunciation.
That's okay. That's all right.
So
that's all right.
So what do you think? I personally like this casting. What do you think?
Yeah. I think he's too old. I think most of the characters are cast too old, but
yeah, he's
he looks too old.
Okay, so this is one of like his only few roles. Okay, so kind of their cast.
I thought Matt's smaller.
Yeah.
Well, compared to Rand with his 6 foot something.
Yeah, 6 foot.
Okay.
Then you've already expressed that you don't like Daniel Henney as Lan.
No, this is nonsense. This is nonsense. Like, get here. What was the name? The guy who played Geralt? Get him. That's Lan.
There is an audiobook of Wheel of Time. All of the books are read by Michael Kramer and Kate Redding. Get Garrett. I would like to see Henry Cavill.
Henry Cavill, yeah, that was the name. Thank you. I would want to see him as Lan. He has the face. He has the chiseled face. He has the right body type. He is built up the right way.
Mm-hmm. So
he apparently knows his way around the sword somewhat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's great. Why don't you take Henry Cavill for Lan? He's made for the role.
Yep. So this is apparently Matt Cawthon's mom, Natty Cawthon. I don't have any problems with this. This seems fine.
Yeah, I mean, she doesn't even play much of a role in the story.
No, she doesn't. So this is a character named Dana. Nobody knows who this character is. One thing that she might be, she's probably just random person in the Two Rivers. Probably same with. I don't know why there's two characters. One
I don't understand why you need to introduce more characters.
Yeah, since like for whatever reason there's a character named Dania, and then there's a character named Dana.
Mm-hmm.
My thought is that these are placeholder names for something else.
You're probably familiar with the pictures I'm posting in the Discord. In the German version, they put these pictures up on the books, which I wasn't entirely convinced that this fit the description in the books, but at least it looks properly medieval fantasy. And in the second one, you can see the depiction of Loyal they have in there, and he's way too small. And this all doesn't look right like the depiction, like the descriptions in the books. But they're at least very good pictures, very good artistic works.
Yeah, the covers, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I'm still looking for the illustrations that were inside the books, because I'm looking for this specific one about Loyal.
Yeah.
And I can't find them. They're somehow not in here.
Mm-hmm.
And I could go, I could go to the bookshelf and just make a photograph or scan or something.
Yeah.
But that would if a third person was on here, I would take the time.
So he actually has tweeted that he has read Wheel of Time, and he's also read Brandon Sanderson.
Who? Henry Cavill?
Henry Cavill. Yeah.
Get him for LAN. Would work perfectly.
Yeah. Henry Cavill is a Chad, and also like he's like legit cool because he is willing to break narratives and say stuff like this.
When it comes to fans, it is a fan's right to have whatever opinion they want to have. And people are going to be upset because, especially when you're talking about books or games, I don't necessarily consider that toxic. I just consider that passionate.
Thank you. Thank you. If I had a sister, I'd want you to marry her.
Yeah, he has a girlfriend right now that he really likes, but yeah, he does prove himself to be a mega Chad.
Yeah, that's thank you, Mr. Cavill. Thank you.
Yeah. So this
because it's not whose right is it to shit all over a franchise, shit all over the creation of someone else that a lot of people care about. How are these people not the toxic ones? Because that's what it always is. It's projection. The actually toxic people are the woke people, are the SJWs, who shit all over every media, every creation that was ever made, and put in their political, their sex, and their race fetishism.
Yeah.
It's all fetishism. It's not even It's not even politics. It's just it's like they jerk off to things being woke. That's all it does, and they jerk off to people hating it. That they do this to something.
Yep.
They're sadists.
Yep. So you remember Aram, the tinker who Egwene was flirting with in book 1, and then eventually like joins up with Perrin and picks up a sword. This is him.
Why? Well, no, the guy on the left. The guy on the right is from. This is not him, I suppose.
Yeah. The guy. That's Alec Baldwin. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. This guy looks black. The tinkers.
So that's actually so
black or Arab or something. No, I'm sorry, it's not a tinker.
Yeah.
That's the tinkers are closely related to the Aiel, or however you pronounce that.
I don't think they're closely related since it's been 3,000 years, and they've basically been like a bunch of people like.
Yes, but they never married outside of their culture.
Well, they do have some people that join the tinker culture from outside because they like the Way of the Leaf, even though the Way of the Leaf is kind of dumb in this civilization.
Well, it's a pacifist religion, if you will.
Yeah, it's a pacifist religion, but I honestly just think the pacifist religions like are unsustainable models.
Yes, of course it is, and that's the thing is repeatedly have to deal with that fact.
I don't know if he played Battlefield Middle-earth. I know he plays World of Warcraft, and he nearly missed the call to play Superman because he was playing World of Warcraft. So this is Tam Althor. Roose Bolton is playing Rand Althor's dad.
I don't know. I thought him more buff. I thought Tam more buff.
Mm.
It's okay. I mean, it's not.
It's fine.
I can see that.
Yeah,
I can see that working.
Yeah.
I just have these. Well, I have my images in my head about these stories, and other people have other preferences there. But there's certain key things that you shouldn't change.
Okay, the authority, like Tam, like he's described as like he's a rock, an immovable rock.
Yeah, I'd say he's Tam has a similar but different look and atmosphere about him as Lan does.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're both soldiers. They're
stoic people, but Tam has still more emotion to him outwardly. He still has warmth to him. Lan he's just a cold rock.
Yep. So this is Logain. This is the guy playing Logain Ablar.
I'd say he has the right vibe.
Mm-hmm.
Because Logain is a trickster asshole, and he gets this. He gets the vibe.
Yeah.
So I can see this.
Well,
that's the thing. I can.
Killed. He's the guy who gets gentled in book 1.
Yes, and then he has to play super depressed.
Yeah.
So until he regains his character, that should take a long ass time. Thing is, you can go to stretches with casting people looking off from the character description in a book when the actor that you get is just so fucking good at getting the character across that it can work. I think the popular variant of that is Samuel L. Jackson as Nick Fury.
Yeah, Samuel L. Jackson basically redefined the role of Nick Fury. Like,
yeah, but you have to be. It has to be exceptional and fitting. Then you can do that. If it doesn't, like what most SJWs do, they just race swap people randomly so that they get all the races because they want to see all the races. Because the more they see all the races, the more they can jerk off to themselves.
So, this is Padan Fane.
No. No. What? No. No. I don't even know where to start.
Yeah.
Padan Fane is a peddler. And he's of the same ethnicity as the people in Manateren and around. And he's from
Murendi, which is a little bit south. Yeah, he's pretty far south. He's a little bit farther south. He's not as far south as you can be.
Okay,
but he's like closer. Let me grab the map.
Okay, I'm sorry, I missed that. I forgot that detail then. Murandi could work then.
Yeah, he's from described as being from Lugard.
I think it's
the capital of Murendi.
Okay, I think it's too early in the book for me to have that has stuck really.
Well, actually, like it's kind of the
whole thing is you have to play him like this ever more decrepit, ever more insane asshole.
Mm-hmm.
Like the way I imagined him, he turned more and more into a bony twig like madman.
Yeah. I think at least the speech patterns of people from Lugard is very much coded as semi-Irish. So there's no like descriptions. Like, well, I do think Inkidu will be all of that. I will be telling the Lord Captain Commander that you've been a naughty boy. Stuff like that. I think like there's some measure of the this is Swan Sanche, the Amerlin seat.
Oh.
Yeah.
She doesn't look like she worked on the docks. She could place one from the sea people.
Like one of the sea folk. Yeah, that
Yeah,
could
the
be.
sea folk. She could play the sea folk. Yeah. So
Yeah.
that yeah, I
interesting.
imagine Siwan Sanche as way more, bit more.
Bit short. Yeah.
No, bit more.
Since she's explicitly
Let's say
described as
muscular. She's more of
pale.
a physically strong woman. That's how I imagine Siwan Sanche.
Yeah. Yeah. I was kind of like surprised because Sophie Okonedo, I've seen her in The Hollow Crown and that awful Alex Rider movie. Which I hate that movie. That movie's so awful. So I'm like, okay, fine. Like, she's a very good actress. I guess she could be good, and maybe they'll like recast after she gets stilled because. But it's just kind of interesting that since she's explicitly described as being very pale in the books, but they decided to go with African British lady named Sophie Okonedo. Which since like she's British Nigerian, okay. So I'm okay with it. I don't fully care. It's at least I get somebody like accredited. It's kind of just not necessarily who I picture, but that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
This is Maureen Damodred, which we've seen previous. Yeah. I heard. I think they already made it. It's out on IMDb. I think IMDb started to make their own movies. But yeah, that's Rosamund Pike. That is Moraine.
What? No, could be worse.
Yes, could be worse. Yes, it could be
way
worse.
worse. But yeah, I for Moiraine, I would have cast an Asian woman.
Yeah. I think
pretty elvish Asian girl.
Yeah, I think like if I were to kind of pull, like I would kind of try pulling from the Marco Polo TV show.
Can you show me the actor for Tom Marilyn again?
The actor for Tom Marilyn, I could do that. Alexandra Willem.
Like that is not him. This guy, as Tam Altor maybe, but Tom Marilyn, too young, too muscular, way too strong. Tom is this old bony guy. Like do you know the there's the stereotype or archetype of the old wise man in manga and anime with the who has this very high forehead, baldness, and this bushy mustache thing. Like Akira Toriyama used this type of archetype a lot. And that is how I imagined Tom Marilyn looking like before I saw Toriyama's work. That
so kind of like this.
Yeah, that kind of guy.
Mm-hmm.
That's a fan illustration, isn't it?
I think that might be from the comic.
Yeah, well, that's closer to him.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's thin because he's old. He's real. Tom Marilyn's really old, and that's part of the joke because he's so nimble.
Yeah.
He's super nimble for his age, and people don't expect that.
Yeah.
He's the what you often see in stories. Nimble. He's the old wise guy who's hiding his strength, and not this. This is a middle-aged man.
Yeah. He's kind of I think that's kind of like the other casting. The only other casting I am, yeah, fine, doesn't matter. Then there's the Nynaeve casting. Your thoughts?
Why is she black? Why is Nynaeve black? She's from the Two Rivers.
I think it would be technically Olive, but yeah, it partially she's a New Zealander.
See, the only people who are ethnically not from the Two Rivers in the Two Rivers are Perrin Ibarra and Rand al'Thor because he's adopted.
It's well, actually, it's just Perrin Ibarra is actually just on an internship. Like his family lives in the Two Rivers. They just live outside of Emmonsfield.
Yeah, but they're their own insular community.
It's basically just a small farm. It's like the grandpa, dad, and parents' few.
Yeah. So their history is but their family's history isn't made too clear.
I think they're basically like just the Ibarra farm has been there for a long time, kind of like the al'Thor farm. Since Tam al'Thor and Rand had their own farm near the Waterwood.
Yeah, and maybe I'm just I just have a predisposition there because on the illustrations of the German books, Perrin was he looked a bit Tunisian.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
Maybe that's painting my memories. But yeah, I can imagine having like one farm of a family that moved into the Two Rivers at some point. Sure. But in general, the only descriptions of looks that really diverted from the general looks of people in the Two Rivers are Perrin and Rand.
Yeah. Okay.
And that is way too muscular and buff. Holy shit.
Yeah, I think this is my favorite depiction of Perrin Ibarra.
Sorry, no, that's too much. He looks too much like a bear.
Yeah, he's
like that's not muscles you can really build, not in this world, in this time.
No.
But that is not Nynaeve. Not by a long shot.
Yeah.
Also, by the way, you can also say this is they're casting a black woman for the angry woman role, so they make her an angry black woman.
Well, I think she's definitely on the lighter end. Like I think she's more olive than black.
Yeah. So what I see, I guess.
She's very
okay.
tan.
There was the dreadlocks that made it.
Yeah,
more in that direction.
The dreadlocks. Yeah, the dreadlocks definitely make it look like she's black, but in reality, she is like Aboriginal, I think.
Yeah, but that's too many random ethnicities in this insular place. It just doesn't work like that. I'm sorry.
A little bit.
And that's the whole point. Is you get the main cast gets out of the Two Rivers and gets to meet all these different weird people. Weird to them, especially in the big cities. Like there's so many people all looking so different, and that's part of the whole thing of we get into the world from our insular place. That's part of the adventure.
Yeah, it's part of just typical classic fantasy. So this is Perrin Ibarra.
Since with my predisposition, that can work even.
So I think it could. I guess it could work. I know he's put on a lot of muscle in the last little bit.
He's playing a blacksmith apprentice after all, so he can have muscle.
Yeah. And then there's the guy Joshua Stradowski is playing Rand al'Thor, which I'm fine with.
Yeah, that can work.
Yeah,
that can work. You just need to dye his hair and make him look like he's double as tall as he is. Like the height really rarely is mentioned as that extreme in the books. It's mentioned that the Aiel are very tall, but not that tall.
There is one little bit of thing, the table read, that I don't think I've shown you yet. So this is apparently this is the first table read.
So, The Wheel of Time, Season 1, Episode 1.
You go back, you give them a way to follow us. I can't allow that. Crossing that river would be foolish, and you are not a fool.
Come on, do you really think she's any better than what's chasing us?
Of course I do.
Till then, though, the lady does shoot fireballs, so let's try and stay on her good side.
And off this, we smash to black at the end of the episode.
Well, that looked pointless.
Yeah. I don't think they'll go that far. And apparently we are getting to see an Aiel in season 1, apparently. But yeah.
Season 1?
Yeah. Probably a flashback or something.
No. No, you can't reveal everything like this. That's what I mean. That's like the people who read every book by starting with the last 3 pages.
Unfortunately, my mother is like that.
Yeah, it's what read your if you want to read your books like that, all right, that's your thing, but don't make shows that way.
Yeah, you kind of have to go.
I think you've got to start wondering, what the hell is this plot?
Yeah,
because you don't even know what the fuck you're doing.
Yeah,
if you think this is the
they're
thing,
doing 6 episodes for Eye of the World and the first bit of Great Hunt, it's just kind of be like, okay, what are they going to do with the, like, how are they going to start splitting up seasons?
This is the thing. The thing is, Wheel of Time is such a big and long story that this is, if you do projects like this right, you can run them for 5 to 10 years.
So, and it kind of
if you do it right.
Yeah.
And then you do it, and then you have it, and you have this amazing thing. And you do not need to build up some artificial hype, because this is already a well-known thing.
Mm-hmm.
It gets its own traction. And when you do not piss off the actual fans, you may even have an audience that lasts.
Mm-hmm.
And that will buy merchandise, and that will buy other stuff long after the show has been done.
Mm-hmm.
But if you don't do that, you're just trying to cater to some instant audience that is as quickly gone as it came.
Yeah, there's an element of fickleness there. I think that's all that. I think that's about everything I wanted to show you.
Okay. It's horrible.
Yeah. Well, maybe one of these days we'll watch the Winter's Dragon pilot, where it's basically just the prologue of Eye of the World, and you got Billy Zane as Ishamael.
Oh God. Well, if we want, well, why not?
Yeah.
But I'm sorry that I'm not as fit on the whole material anymore as I am. But I do care about this. I do care about this. This is part of my childhood.
Well, the nice thing is you were very verbose. We've been talking for almost 3 hours.
Well, I mix up characters at this point.
Well,
but that's also because this whole sleep deprivation is really getting to me. Especially this year, I've noticed I've forgotten a lot of things, and it's kind of scary.
Mm-hmm. Well, I am going to have to say thank you all, chat, for coming. Thank you to Johan, Space Chung, Charles Calkins, to anybody who's still in the chat. Thank you to Tyler Preston as well. Alrighty, we will call it good there. Adios.
Bye.